have to ask, if they were to bring one particular arc back from Classic Who, what would it be?
From Classic?
Yeah. If they were to remake a particular episode or do a tribute to which episode, which arc?
I would love to see them do Shada.
War Games. Love War Games. I thought we were doing that the other night with Davros and with the hands. I'm like, War Games is back. I was all over that.
That's a very difficult one.
The Zarbi.
Not the Zarbi. I would actually like to see them do a prequel to Battlefield.
Ooh.
The Merlin one.
Yeah.
Explain the whole Merlin reference, other than the throwaway line. Other than the throwaway line of, I don't like reading those stories about wizards and witches because every time
always turn out to be him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
I'd like to see them revisit Battlefield.
Yeah. Yeah. The other, I cannot remember. It's the one with the Ice Warriors and one of the Doctor's companions falls in love with the prince. It's when he first meets Davros. And all I can remember is the giant caterpillar alien. What is her name? Or was it he? I think it was a male alien, but the actress was female. And it started with a P.
Yeah.
I loved her. I cannot remember her name. I loved her, and I really want to see them bring that one back.
Another one I'd like to see them revisit because they've already done it twice. Peladon.
Yeah. Wait, is that? See, now I'm trying to think. Is that it? Is that Peladon? Now I'm thinking it is.
Because Peladon, Monster of Peladon was
Okay.
you've got two doctors have done Peladon now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Humble Pelodians, yeah, Chris of Peladon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you remember what the original, not Slytherins. It's what's it called? No, not the Slithing. I gotta think here for a minute. It's not the Centaurians. Silurians. Yeah, the Silurians. Do you remember what they were?
The Silurians, I was so glad to see them brought back.
Yeah. No, I loved it. That's the other thing.
And I love the new look.
I love the new look. So much better. I do love that they did not change the Centaurans.
Right.
They still look like little more potato men. It's wonderful.
Yeah. The reason I like the new Silurians is they've got this differentiation between the warrior and noble classes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love, is it Stax?
Strax.
I love him.
Strax is hilarious.
Let me take your coat. Thank you very much. I'll hang this up for you. May my axe be bloodied with your innards as you die in battle.
And calling a woman boy.
Yes. Be quiet, boy. It's like, no, I love Strax. Loved him.
He makes a wonderful nursemaid.
I love that he's
a wet nurse.
Yes, he altered his body so he could nurse. The whole thing was just messed up.
I swear he was actually thrown in for comic relief.
He was. No, I'm certain of it. Yeah.
Strax was hilarious.
Yeah.
But I do also like the fact they brought in the two strong female characters to play off him.
Jenny, and I do not like Jenny. I like Vastras. Vastras, is that her?
Madame Vastra is fantastic. Madame Vastra. I liked the Vastra as Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. I did not like. It's just Jenny. I don't like her. I'm like, I don't see a purpose to her. To me, she's the Watson to Vastra's Sherlock Holmes. To me, Strax is. No, okay, that makes sense because Strax is an idiot. All right, she would be.
Strax is the Lestrange to Holmes.
Yeah, he's something out there. He really is.
He's the Scotland Yard policeman.
I just have to say, I live for the moments when the Doctor randomly states, "Are you my mommy?"
Oh God.
Okay, of all the episodes, that one, it was like a horror movie to me. I was cleaning to my husband. I was like, this cannot be the last episode we watch. Do you want to skip it? I don't know yet. I was not okay with the movie, with the show. So 4 episodes later, David Tennant's standing there out of the blue. "Are you my mommy?" dude. Dude. And then I saw last night's episode. It wasn't last night. It was 2 nights ago. Peter Capaldi was opposite the Mummy on the Orient Express. Are you my mummy?
Oh, yes.
And I just, it's getting to a point where I live for those moments of where they insert that line elsewhere.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I told my daughter, I said, she was watching The Silence. I said, and I just started giggling.
Oh.
I started giggling. She's like, what's so funny? Well, I just thought it'd be really funny if while you were sleeping tonight, I go in and just like make little dashes on your arm. You wake up and there's like 4 dashes. It's like, oh! I'm like, I can't do that because I'm your mother and I would have to pay for therapy and it would traumatize you. And then you would.
But we really don't know the real name of those aliens because they really are not the Silence. The Silence is the religious group.
Yeah, you're right. It's the.
They are just referred to online as the Silence Priests.
And I love the Ood.
Oh,
They
yes.
remind
I love the
of
Ood.
the Scream.
Yeah. No.
I think that was deliberate.
Painting the
Yeah.
Scream
No. Yeah.
is them.
No, The Silence was creepy. I think I'm trying to remember, like, of all, and it's funny because I have like classic Who, my favorite classic Who moment, like all of it, and this burns very vivid in my brain. It's when they were trapped in the circus, Jean Pertwee, not the psychic circus. It was the one when they were put in the model, and it was a zoo.
Mm-hmm.
It was the living zoo, and they were getting ready to shut the zoo down. There was legal issues. They were trying to get it offset. And they find out that there's living animals in there on replay as captured. And I think if it wasn't this episode, it was like within this arc or very close to it. There is this moment, 1970s, early 70s. And at one point, they look out into the sea. It's this beautiful horizon. And in the back where the sun should have been was this giant green blob of an alien with tentacly arms. And they definitely cut-pasted it into the saying, but it looked like such awesome classic science fiction-y stuff. It was like, I felt like I was watching The Blob or a Swamp Thing or The Fly, and I'm just like, this is so cool.
And then following that, you go to the other blobs and you get Horror of Fang Rock.
Yeah.
With Tom. And that just looks so fake.
It does, but it's a good fake. And that back to the Daleks though. The Daleks started off looking like tuna cans, malformed tuna cans, and I'm just like, this isn't scary. They didn't. Was there a moment where the Daleks actually seemed scary to you, ever?
No, the Cybermen were scary to me.
That's because they remind you of the Borg.
No.
They started out human.
They did.
And they had everything ripped away, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that's terrifying.
Do you guys watch Star Trek?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All I could see was the Borg. And then Douglas Adams. It wasn't shot. It was his very first. I think it was the Pirate Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy, the pirate with his one eye and his whole metallic arm. I'm like, I took pictures of it on my Instagram account. I'm like, it's the Borg. This isn't.
Except for the fact the Doctor Who episodes predate the Borg by a long way.
No, I made that clear. That they clearly, Star Trek pulled so much from Doctor Who. I'm like, this is the Borg. And it was really interesting. And then the Cybermen were ripping people apart and using them for parts long before Star Trek came along.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see,
Absolutely.
my mother loved the original Star Trek,
Mm-hmm.
and I was watching it going, I can't get really into this series because they're supposed to be meeting new alien races, and they meet a new alien race, and they either pull out their phasers and kill it,
Or Kirk
or
tries to sleep with
tries
it.
to sleep with it.
I love Star Trek, but I used to call, and I still do, I call Star Trek, the original series, Pajama Men from Space.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's not to be taken serious.
Doctor Who, I was like, I love this because he
Yeah.
meets new aliens. He doesn't pull out a gun and try and kill it. And he's rooting for the little guy. So, you know, he's trying to save them with whatever technology is on that planet, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is brilliant.
Doctor Who is the original MacGyver.
Yes.
It is. It is.
Polarity.
Yeah. No, it really, there's this moment, and and I completely forgot what I was going to say. I'm just like, I don't know. There's just so much. There's just, it's phenomenal. It is just absolutely mind blowing. I'm really upset that I didn't even hear about it until 2013. This is when Amy Pond and Rory were going through their thing. I just love Raggedy Man. You are late for my wedding. Yes. Just over and over. Raggedy Man, you are late for my wedding. And it just, they hit so much with this show for the 2005 and on. And it was wonderful. And this is something I do miss, is watching how this thing unfolds. When I was done with it, all of it, and I'm where I am now, I think I'm in 2015 is where I am now. So I'm almost done with the episode. I'm on season 9, halfway through season 9. So, and I have to ask, they haven't done season 10 yet, have they? I
don't believe so. I think that's coming up. I think there's a Christmas special coming up, and then they're rolling into season 10.
Okay. All right. I'll have to take a look at that then. So that's one of the things. I'm like, okay, we have like 3 more days of Doctor Who, and then we're done. So there's my withdrawal period. I'm going to go like, because that's all I've been watching literally since January of last year. It's taken me a year to do this. It's just amazing. And when I was done, I got to a certain point where I stepped back and just went, I didn't just watch 53 years of television. One of the things that hit really, and I'm curious, Sandy, if you had this experience, our schools do not talk about English history. We don't talk about the Titanic.
No, they don't.
I didn't even know what the English Blitz was. So for me, I was like, there's history in England. Wow, you know.
Whereas I come over here and gone, there's history in America? Yeah. There's something older than 50 years? They didn't tear down already?
Okay, so it's not just me. It's really interesting. And hearing the history, watching the Nixon years, watching the English talk about the American president. I love, and this is something that just cracks me up. Whenever there's a catastrophe from 2005 and on in England, it's always England who's speaking for the States. Yes. We would not be okay with that. We would never. She's like, I'm speaking on behalf of the human race. And I'm like, America wouldn't be okay with that. We would have to put our stupid big heads there. That's what we do. It was really interesting. At one point, they call the States the superpower. And I went, that's not just us thinking we're arrogant. And my husband's like, no, it's kind of world renowned that we know that States is the power. And I'm like, I thought that was just us being arrogant. So it was really interesting to see 53 years of history, of politics, of propaganda, all being reflected through the England's point of view since 1953. The Nixon years, the space race in England. It was that is what I walked away with. Just it still blows my mind. I was listening to something about JFK's assassination, and I went, I remember that. Because I associate it with what I saw in England in reference to Doctor Who, what was covered there. And it, like, of everything I've taken away, to watch it that extensively in that order, not only was it let's sit back and watch our history for the last 50 years, but let's put it through England's point of view as well.
Neil Armstrong setting foot on the moon, that hasn't even been 50 years yet.
Yeah. Wow, it feels like it.
I was almost a year old when Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. I'm 48.
Yeah,
that's mind-boggling. I'm like, it hasn't even been 50 years yet.
It's amazing.
And getting back to the history, the Outlander series that we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
She starts it off with the Jacobite uprising when they were trying to put Bonnie Prince Charles back on the English throne.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a really cool part of history. You know, it really hadn't heard much about it. So I'm seeing it from that point of view back in that time period.
Yeah.
And then 20 years pass and we're in the American Revolutionary War. And I went, I didn't know it was that close together in history.
Yeah. You know, there's like a lot of little stuff like that. Look, for instance, Charles Dickens. Now, the Americans have their opinion of Charles Dickens. We have our interpretation of Shakespeare. We have Shakespeare in Love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The English have Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That's the difference. It like really that really pegs it. That right there is what I'm seeing, that difference. We have our interpretation of Charles Dickens. And then there's
and then we just go ahead and put him on screen.
yeah, just put him on screen. Yeah. So there's a lot. Like I've seen there's so much American sources here showing how Hollywood in America views New York City or how we view London. I'll tell you, that is one thing I'm loving is I've never seen London so up close and personal before. There's only two places Hollywood has ever gotten right with portraying. Hollywood and New York City.
Okay. Here's something you want to consider. If you're taking London from the new series, a large chunk of what you're seeing as London is actually filmed in Wales.
Cardiff, Wales.
All right then, so it's Wales. I'm saying
A large
Wales.
chunk of it.
Now there was one moment. There was one moment where they were in Bristol. Now whether or not they were actually filming in Bristol, I don't know.
I believe they did for that one.
And that did look like Bristol.
The fountain, the large fountain that they use in Torchwood and where the rift was.
Yep.
We've been there. That is in Wales. In Cardiff, Wales.
Now Matt told me Puzzlewood Forest in Star Wars. The Puzzlewoods is where they did in England, is where they did a lot of the filming for Star Wars and the Dagobah system.
Yes.
So again, we do nothing. And then I know the Cliffs of Moher are the Cliffs of Insanity in Princess Bride.
Right.
So, and that they pegged. But really, when it comes to Hollywood, there's only two places they have ever gotten right. Seinfeld shows you New York as New York is.
Yep.
That I live 3 hours from the city. That is New York. It's embarrassing, but that's New York. The How I Met Your Mother. That one also.
Oh, yes.
That portrays New York the way it is. There was one moment where he starts arguing with a New Jerseyan about her claiming she's from New York.
Yes.
I jumped on that argument. Like I was right there with him screaming with the same, oh yeah, very sensitive subject here. Don't bring it up. don't ever put a New Jerseyan in a room with a New Yorker and say that isn't, no, massive hot topic. They nailed New York City and Hollywood. Not even all of California, just Hollywood. So there's a lot of, we're going to show you London from Hollywood's point of view, and it's dead wrong. So to see the way English view their home through their point of view away from Hollywood was really refreshing.
You also have to remember, I grew up in London, and I'm going to bring it back to Doctor Who, and we're going to finish on this one.
Of course.
I grew up in London. I remember London at Christmas time. I do not remember us once being invaded by aliens.
Damn it. Damn it. Fine. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go watch Doctor Who now.
Enjoy it.
Yes. Thank you very much.
And we'll talk to you again after you've got the withdrawal symptoms out of the way.
Yeah. No, I'm going to cry. There's a whole lot of crying coming. So, all right. All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Elonzi.